Good afternoon. With me this afternoon, I have the amazing Professor Paul Miller. Good afternoon, Professor Miller, and thank you so much for joining
Elizabeth.
us. Professor Paul Miller, I would just like to talk to you about the Inclusive Curriculum Leadership course that we will be starting. I have a couple of questions about the course. My first question is, could you tell me a little bit about the course, the content of the course, and what will be covered in the Inclusive Curriculum Leadership course, please?
Well, thank you, Elizabeth, for having me and for wanting to talk about this course. This program has a number of modules, and it's run at different levels or different pathways. But just a quick overview, we have a module in cultural competence. Everybody in every organization should be doing a module on cultural competence anyway, to look at the notion of culture in terms of cultures, national cultures, subcultures, but also everybody bringing a culture with them, regardless of who you are, and look at how these should be used or can be used in organizations, in meetings, in teaching and learning, and so on. And then we have got a module on the inclusive curriculum framework, which we call diversifying, decolonizing, and inclusivizing the curriculum, because that module distinguishes between those kind of concepts. A lot of people think they are oppositional concepts. A lot of people think they are the same. Well, they're not oppositional and they're not the same. So we try to take people through what those concepts means, whilst also introducing them to the inclusive curriculum framework. And then the third module is around anti-racist pedagogy. Now, there's no other organization in the whole country, no university, no college, no professional development organization that has a module on anti-racist pedagogy. And so what we do is introduce the CCC framework of anti-racist pedagogy, confront, challenge, change, to participants, but also get them to think about how the anti-racist pedagogy is different from inclusive pedagogy or culturally responsive pedagogy, and so on. And then, so those three modules are for those who end at the associate level, and then there are two additional modules, including a case study for people who want to go on much further.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Paul Miller. I know I'm so excited about the fact that cultural competency is covered, because I think there's a lot to learn about that subject. My next question to you, Professor Paul Miller, is who should be attending this leadership course? Who's this made for? Who needs to be here? Who should be signing up for this course?
And that's a really important question. We have made this really simple. It's for teachers, it's for subject leaders, it's for learning leaders, it's for lecturers, it's for content developers in publishing houses, or in local authority offices, or in the Department for Education, or in the Church of England, for example. So, and it could also be for learning and development leaders in universities and in other organizations. So it doesn't have to necessarily be only for people in the classroom, or an assistant head for teaching and learning and so on. It's for those people, obviously, but as I say, it's for content developers in publishing houses, in the Department for Education, and in learning and development roles.
Oh, thank you so much, Professor Paul Miller. And I really like that phrase, content developers. It's so important that in whatever we're putting out, especially on the internet, we are looking at it through the EDI lens. And I mean, it goes without saying why this is important, but I would like to ask you, why is this learning important? Let's look at the culture. Let's look at the status quo now. Why is this learning important? Why is it that every content developer needs this learning, needs this education?
I think it's important because there is such an enthusiasm at the moment, and such a public consciousness for people to want to deliver a better and a more inclusive curriculum to learners. And those learners might be adults, those learners might be children, they might be young people. But it's really important that we are providing a curriculum that is speaking to the needs and the ambitions and the aspiration of all learners, locating and identifying each learner and centering them where they come from, who they are within the discourse of learning and teaching, but also making sure that we are preparing them for life in a globalized world. So I think it's really, really important that everybody who is involved in content development, in teaching and learning, in leadership of learning, they are thinking about those important principles. How do we develop a curriculum that centers each learner, not just some learners? How do we give students a curriculum or learners the curriculum that connects them with examples and issues of practice in a globalized environment, and at the same time make it authentic and celebrates the content that they're trying to deliver?
Excellent, Professor Paul Miller. I mean, I've been to so many of your courses, and I know, one of the things I know you do so well is making sure we are learned and we're equipped to engage and interact in this globalized world. So, like me, after when the first time I met you, I had to say, oh, Professor Paul Miller, I learned this. Could you tell me maybe one or two best things, best feedback you've heard from your previous students about this course?
You are very kind, Elizabeth. Thank you. But really, some head teachers have done this program. We've had about 16 head teachers who have done this program already. What they keep talking about is the fact that this program has opened their eyes to be able, first and foremost, to distinguish amongst what does it mean to diversify the curriculum, what does it mean to decolonize the curriculum, and what does it mean, crucially, to inclusivize the curriculum. Then people have gotten an introduction to the inclusive curriculum framework. Many people don't even know that there is such a thing called the inclusive curriculum framework. And as I always say, enthusiasm for the job is not knowledge of the job. And so there are many people out there who are trying to do this work from their heart, but do not have the tools. And this is what this program provides for them. It gives them the tools. And so many people are now saying, actually, it's like a eureka moment. Voila, our eyes have been opened, because now we know what to ask. Now we know the tool. Now we know the tools to help measure. And now we can support teaching and learning, our staff, our parents, our students, to bring the best outcomes for young people or the learners in our organization.
Oh, thank you so much, Professor Paul Miller. I mean, I magpie that statement of yours. Enthusiasm for the job is not knowledge for the job. I mean, it's so lovely that a lot of people are passionate about EDI work, but I can attest, being one of your students, that when I came into your field of learning, I had a lot to learn. I was passionate, and I am still passionate about the job, but I know there's still so much more to learn so I can do this job effectively. And this is why the inclusive curriculum leadership course has been vital into my own working life and navigating the world of EDI. My final question to you, Professor Paul Miller, is, now, why is this course unique? And I know you've already mentioned it at the start, but I would really, really like, because I am so blown away about the composition of this course and how it is so unique. But I would really, really like to really hone in on that point. Why is this Paul Miller's inclusive curriculum leadership course unique?
I think there are three reasons, and thank you for that question. Three reasons for that. One, our program is an accredited program, so it's not a dead-end offer. People can APEL their learning into this as part of a bigger qualifications framework, and you get professional recognition for that. I think the other thing which is unique is that we offer multiple entry points, so you realize that the course is not only for teachers, it's not only for heads of departments, it's not only for learning leaders, it's also for content developers, it's also for those in big organizations, including universities and other organizations, corporate organizations with responsibility for learning and development. Is also responsibility for people with whole institution-wide. So multiple entry points for the program. I also think what makes us really unique is that we are not only focusing on one single element of inclusivity. The reason why this program is called the Inclusive Curriculum Framework is that we are focusing on inclusivity in its widest and broadest sense. And I appreciate colleagues who focus on a particular element, let's say class, or let's say ethnicity, or let's say gender. But our program is saying, well, actually, there are multiple identities and multiple discriminations, and we need to be looking at all of them together. Hence, our program is built on the Inclusive Curriculum Framework and is about inclusivity in its broadest sense across the curriculum.
Thank you so much for listening to this. And if you would like to sign up for the Inclusive Curriculum Leadership course, the information will be just down below over there. Thank you so much, Professor Miller, for your time. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to talk to us about the Inclusive Curriculum Leadership course. It's been such a pleasure spending the time with you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.